Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Billsology. I'm your host, A. Rich, Hakeem Richens. And if you don't know me by now, please get to know me. This is indeed Built in Buffalo. And I got my co-host with me today, Jason Malloy. What's going on, Jason? How you doing today?
What's up, Akeem? How you doing? I'm doing good. Lovely Saturday.
You know what? It is a lovely Saturday, and it's more of a nervous Saturday for me, right? The Buffalo Bills, we've been battling adversity lately, and 7-5 record, I don't think is a record us fans would have predicted coming into the season for in our first 12 weeks. So it's a little nerve-wracking on a Saturday, but I'm still glad that the Buffalo Bills are in playoff contention and we have a lot of football left ahead of us.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, if you look, it's kind of strange because obviously as deflating as that Pats game was for me, especially, I was there, freezing
How
cold, whatnot.
how was it to be there to witness the game in the freezing cold under those temperatures and the Bills lose? How do you feel? How was the feeling? Describe it to me.
I'd say extremely frustrating. Honestly, that's really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
They ran the ball. I mean, you could literally say every single play. It was almost every single play, other than 3 plays. And one of those was a completed pass. The other two were incomplete passes. But I mean, if we're going to draw positives from it, I mean, I think Levi Wallace actually had a pass a pass defended on the one target he had. So he met our our qualifications, what we were looking for, I guess, after that
Right,
first week. But
right. And you know what? We're not going to go back there. We're not going to talk about the loss with the New England Patriots. It is finally in the past. We face them in a couple of weeks. So we're going to move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. Tom Brady, 32-3, his career with the Buffalo Bills. Uh how do you feel going into this game against the Bucs? Are you more concerned about Tom Brady, or are you more concerned about the rest of the team, the supporting cast, the receivers, the tight end, the defense, the defensive line? What concerns you most about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I was thinking about this, well, pretty much since the game last week, but it's really hard to pinpoint one thing because they do so many things well,
Mhm,
and at the
mhm.
same time, they're still beatable, as they
Right.
have a couple losses already, obviously. A surprise one in there as well from a team that we blew out, but uh, Brady didn't really worry me towards the end of his stretch in New England. We could see he was starting to kind of come down a bit, but now he's got, everything that, he asked for in New England that he couldn't get, being wide receivers, a big supporting cast. He always had a good defense in New England, but, some real star wide receivers. Antonio Brown, for all the, off-field antics and issues he's had, he's still
Mhm.
a high caliber wide receiver. I'm not saying, I don't know that he's, for sure playing or whatnot, but just in
I don't think
general,
he's playing tomorrow.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So just even look at the other guys, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both premier talents in the league. Mike Evans especially is one of his guys, a big tall body in the red zone. He's got
Mhm.
Gronk still, other tight ends in that room as well. But I think if I had to pinpoint one thing that
Mhm.
I think will be, the end of us, because I don't think that Tom Brady in the passing game, they could put up 30 points, but I think we could put up 40. But I think it's going to be that defensive front, that front four, front
Mhm.
seven, really, getting home. And we'll have to see, with John Feliciano being activated, we'll have to see, if that plays a role, if that line is better. Because if it's not better and Allen's running around all day I don't know how you got to be able to keep pace with these guys, and you can't if you're always on the run. So
Yeah,
that's my worry.
exactly right. Exactly right. And John Feliciano is activated off the IR, right? And he must feel a hell of a way. It must be some pressure on John Feliciano because it's like, hey, welcome back. Your first assignment, Ndamukong Vita Vea. Go. Good luck. Good luck coming off the injury, facing those two physically imposing defensive interior linemen. So that's going to be a hell of a matchup, right? We're going to get into a little bit between the Buffalo Bills interior offensive linemen and the Tampa Bay Bucs interior defensive lineman. But before we go there, right? If you're watching on Twitter, please give this a like, give this a retweet. If you're watching on Facebook, give this a like, give this a share. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the Built in Buffalo channel. If you don't know us, please get to know us. Now, Jason, I want to talk about and shout out everybody that's in the comment section right quick. Let me give some quick shout outs in the comment section. Melo says y'all not winning. Melo's like, you know what? Y'all not winning. I feel you. I understand that the Buffalo Bills has been struggling in recent weeks. I understand that the confidence could be down in Bills Nation amongst the Bills fans, but I'm going to watch the game tomorrow. And I'm not watching the game to waste my time. I'm watching the game because I feel in my heart that the Buffalo Bills can win this game. Jason, your thoughts?
I think it's a winnable game. I really do, honestly. And to be honest with you, with all the weather, if you include the weather, I think that it's actually probably a more winnable game than last week was, to be honest with you. Just as far as the skill sets and what we're going to be able to actually play to our strength, and that's passing the ball. It's not running the ball. It hasn't been for a couple of years now since we had Shady McCoy. It's been passing the ball. We're a passing offense. If you want to run, we've got Allen. We saw that with his legs on a couple plays last week that kept us in the game.
Now, how do you? Now, I want to act. I want to talk. Let's talk about that right quick because, and of course, we're going to get into other thoughts and other tidbits into tomorrow's game. But I want to talk about Josh Allen and the run because we have a lot of different opinions from media experts, from the media outlets, and experts that's not a part of the media, right? On thoughts on how the Buffalo Bills should approach the Russian attack. Me personally, correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all might feel differently. I am not a fan of design runs from Josh Allen. I am not a fan. Now, I know it's a weapon. Now, I know it could be used situational in the red zone to pick up first downs. But as far as Josh Allen has to be a part of the run game, I feel worried about that and have my concerns because this is my prized possession. This is my $258 million quarterback. I want him to throw the ball. I have guys that's called running backs. I want my running backs to be able to get those yards. Now, granted, 6'5", 240 pounds, you do have some leverage as a running back. But I do not want my quarterback to be that focal point in the Russian offense because I don't want him to get hurt. Jason, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's not the same as Lamar. Lamar is an athlete that I grew up watching Michael Vick, and Lamar is better than Michael Vick. I'll say it as simple as that. Michael Vick could run, and he could run really well, and everybody loved using him in 2004 Madden. But Lamar Jackson is just he's different. He is truly a running back and a quarterback at the same time. Just the things he can do. He's better. I think he's got better moves than probably half the running backs in the league, realistically. But Josh Allen is more of a guy where I want him to use his legs because, he's successful at it, but I don't want designed runs where it's like, this is a run where he's going to snap the ball. The play is a run. No one's running a route. They're going to automatically block. And that's the play. I want to see it where essentially every play is an RPO. Okay. Allen takes the handoff, play action here. I can either hand it off here. I can do this. I would like to see not more designed runs. I'd like to see more bootlegs where it opens up an option for a safe lane for him to run and pick up the yards.
Creativity, yes.
But he can also pass the ball. I want him to have options. I don't want it to be a designed run where he's like, all right, I can see that hole swallowed up, but that's the play, and we've already snapped the ball, so I got to go in that dangerous hole. I want him to have options and a safe lane and a safe exit.
Right. And you know what? I like that 100%, and Josh Allen, don't get me wrong. I love the running. I love the style. I love the aggressiveness, but you did make an excellent point. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson are two different athletes and with two different running abilities. Lamar Jackson, it's hard to get a grip on Lamar Jackson. He's smooth. He's shifty. It's just hard to put a clean hit. Whereas opposed to Josh Allen is just using physical strength. He's just like, you know what? I'm 6'5", I'm 250. I'm going to run over you. I'm going to stiff arm you. He's playing off physicality. But in this day and age in football, there's going to be a point where you're going to run into a more physical person. And that's what I'm afraid of for Josh Allen. His physicality can be used against him at times, and I don't want him to get in harm's way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what Lamar is. We all remember, Lamar breaking Matt Milano's ankles a couple of years ago back when they came to that was the year we played the Texans, I believe. We
Yep.
lost that game by a touchdown in the final play. It was actually, I think it's funny. I was actually thinking about this the other day. That
Mhm.
play that we just ran against the Patriots in the final play was the exact same play we ran with John Brown. Same route,
Was
same
it?
everything. Yeah, it was the
Wow.
exact same
Okay.
play, except the safety
Really?
broke. We had him beat this time. The safety broke.
He
Last
broke.
time it was just
Mhm.
Marcus Peters making a play. But yeah,
Mhm.
Lamar is more of a guy that's just going to make you miss, where Josh is just like, I'm probably bigger than you, even if you're a linebacker, unless you're Tremaine Edmonds or, one
Mhm.
of the other larger linebackers. I'm probably bigger than you. I'm just going to
Mhm.
run into you and hope that you don't hit me in a soft spot. So, and here's the thing. People say, "Oh, he can take the hits. He can take the hits." Yeah, it's like the difference between him and Tua. Tua's a guy that'll run and put his body out there just like Josh, but Tua can't take the hits as well. But it still hurts. It still hurts
Right.
Josh when he gets hit there. You ain't going to tell me it doesn't. So
Of
I'd like to
course.
avoid those situations, of course.
Of course. And he got up slow a couple instances last week. Even last week when he got hit, he got up kind of slow. And I'm like, okay, Josh, get up, baby. Get up. Get up. And he got up. But those are the things that me personally, I would want the team to avoid. But moving on, right? I want to talk about some keys to victory. How can we actually beat what things we can do to actually beat this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team? And I'm gonna start throwing out some things. I'm gonna throw out my first topic. I'm gonna give some reasoning behind it, and then I want to get your thoughts, and then I'm gonna get into the comments. Right. So, first thing, in my opinion, keys to victory. I've been seeing the Buffalo Bills turn the ball over a bunch of times. I've been seeing the Buffalo Bills make a bunch of mistakes, right? Mistakes cost the Buffalo Bills against the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you had 4 turnovers and you had all those penalties, it cost you against a bad team. So those mistakes, if they're going to cost you a victory against a bad team, playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you cannot make those mistakes because it would definitely cost you a victory if you continue to regress and make mistakes. The Buffalo Bills over the last 5 games have 12 turnovers in the last 5 games. That resulted into 3 losses, right? Josh Allen, 7 interceptions in those last 5 games. Interceptions and fumbles. It cannot happen, and it cannot happen against the defending Super Bowl champions in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And last but not least, 33 penalties in the last 5 games. That's a little over 6 penalties a game, right? So we're averaging a little over 6 penalties a game and 3 turnovers a game the last 5 games. That is a recipe for failure. That is a recipe for guys getting fired and pink slips handed out on your door Black Monday, right? So those are things, in my opinion, that the Buffalo Bills need to limit: mistakes and turnovers. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think one position that I'm really going to want to watch, and I just mentioned him, but Levi Wallace. I'm going to want to watch that because he's going to have to go no matter where he lines up. You can line him up against either of the two guys. He's going to go against either Godwin or he's going to go against Evans. My guess is probably Evans because he's a little bit taller, a little bit bigger than Trey White would have been, and they're going to want to match him up there. But you've also got Gronk there that you could make that defense too. They'll probably have Tyron on him, but that's a mismatch either way, no matter who he plays. He's been like that his whole career. We're gonna have to watch because they're gonna start. They're gonna pick on him or they're gonna pick on somebody else. And I want to see how frustrated they get. Are they going to get where they get a little handsy? Trey White had a really good way of. Trey White would take some penalties. He would take penalties of.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like for a while he was always getting hands to the face or illegal hands to the face or holding things like that. But he would be able to check himself and make a play. He was able to
Mm-hmm.
maintain his composure. Some
Right.
cornerbacks can't do that when they're put in the pressure cooker. They have to get physical. They have to get nasty, and they end up drawing calls. And that's really what the goal is. And Mike Evans is not a guy that's going to sit there and be quiet and just beat you. He's going to talk trash. We all remember with Marshawn Lattimore just a couple of years ago.
Right.
So he's a true number one. He's going to want to talk trash. I want to see how Levi responds, but I also want to see. I'm going to watch this offensive line too. There's mistakes that can be made there. Obviously, with like I said, the front seven here, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get beat. You got to get back up and hit harder. You just got to
Mm-hmm.
control the trenches. And McDermott preached it time again. But here's the thing: we have to limit the turnovers. Penalties are one thing. Giving the ball to Tom Brady in that offense is a recipe for disaster, and they will run the score up quick. It's not going to be something where you have 3 turnovers and they get 7 points out of it. You're going to have 3 turnovers, they're going to get 17 or 21 points out of it. I mean, that's how quick this team is, So you need to limit turnovers, play smart football, and play to your strengths. Air the ball out. I want to see Diggs with 15 targets at halftime. But no, but really, 16 targets
I
in the
see
game. I
it.
want to see you use them, So
Okay. And I'm glad you spoke about Diggs because that's going to be a conversation we might agree, we might disagree with. I want to definitely get into the comment section, but not off topic, but I'm going to veer off just a little bit in terms of game preview because I want to get thoughts and I want to get opinions. I like that. Penalties, mistakes, we definitely want to limit them. You want to limit them against any team, right? But especially against a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road, you want to limit those penalties and mistakes. Off topic, but on topic, right? Our offense. We see who we have on offense. We see the play calls. We know who our offensive coordinator is, Brian Daboll. There are a lot of different opinions, one way or another, about his philosophy this year and his play calling, right? But I want to ask you about a specific player, Gabriel Davis. Is Gabriel Davis the future wide receiver two for the Bills, or is he nothing more than a depth piece? I wanted to get your thoughts because there has been a lot of different opinions on Gabriel Davis. Emmanuel Sanders is playing that wide receiver two position, and he's, in my opinion, shadowing or overshadowing Gabriel Davis' play. And a lot of people feel that he may not be a wide receiver. Number two, he may be just a depth piece. What's your thoughts on Gabriel Davis?
it's like you read my mind. I've been talking about this guy probably since the night after we drafted him. He's looked good in every single event that he's been asked to look good in. I've seen a drop or two in his career, but when he's been called up, he's kind of picked up that Duke Williams role where if he gets the targets, he takes them. I mean, there were 2 weeks in a row this year where I think he had almost back-to-back. He was just shy of back-to-back 100-yard games. And he had like 7 targets combined in the games. I think he had 4 targets for 3 catches and then 3 targets for 2 catches. And he had like 103 and 97 yards, something like that. But no, I think that we have, and I'm not over-exaggerating when I say this, I think we have Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden. I think we have a very, very good wide receiver too. And to be honest with you, I think that he's earned playing time. I think he's earned that wide receiver 2 spot for right now. I would throw him above Emmanuel Sanders because I think he can do a little bit of everything.
Yes.
He's a big body. He's a big guy. He has decent hands. He has toe tap feet. I don't remember. Everybody remembers the Colts game last year.
Yes, a few games.
Back-to-back plays, just toe tapping. I'm like, this guy is amazing. And he couldn't get on, he couldn't break it. So he couldn't crack the lineup at least. But I think we have our wide receiver too, honestly.
Yeah.
Save yourself the money. You've got a really solid guy. I still want to see them, obviously, either it's going to be – now, I don't know if they plan on using Marquez Stevenson as a guy that's going to be their break the, speed of take the top off type guy in the future for next year. That's more of a conversation for later. But I'd like to see that added. But at the same time, I think Gabriel Davis is a very good wide receiver, and he does a lot of things very well.
You know what? I like that. I apologize if we have any apologies of any technical difficulties. A Rich, Akeem Richens, this is Billsology, built in Buffalo. Jason, are you still there?
I'm still here. Yep.
You still there, Jason?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Okay, awesome. And you know what? I like your assessment on Gabriel Davis. There has been a lot of thoughts, and in my opinion, Gabriel Davis has done nothing but make plays. I can hear you. I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Apologies. Y'all there? Do y'all hear me? Audio, check. Do y'all hear me? Obviously, rain is starting to kick in my area. The internet is acting up a little bit. Are you there, Jason?
Yeah, I just saw, actually. I just checked. I had Spectrum up on the side here because it was slowing down earlier. I think we're getting some trees down here. So
yeah, we getting some rain. We getting some rain here as well. But getting back to the Gabriel Davis, I think he's a wide receiver two of the future for the Buffalo Bills. He has done nothing but make plays. Ever since coming to the Buffalo Bills, he has 53 or 54 receptions and 10 touchdowns in his career. You talk about the toe tap swag. We cannot blame Gabriel Davis for Brian Daboll's incompetence for properly utilizing offensive skill position players. right? And I think Gabriel Davis has
Obviously.
that's this sucks.
The thing is, I've been able to like I can see myself talking everything. It's keeps saying you freezing, so I'm not sure if maybe if it's a
You know,
picture of both of us or yeah.
no, it's probably me because it's getting pretty
Oh,
bad
gotcha.
on my area. So I'm gonna try it one more time, and if not, then
And there you go again.
the weather is definitely bad. Um, let me get some Gabe Davis thoughts. He said everybody says it's froze. Are we back up?
It's
Are we
it's
back up?
it's in and out. Yeah, it's in and out, but you keep freezing like every 10 seconds. I
Oh,
can see you
technical
now.
difficulties. You can see me?
Yep.
Okay. I apologize once again for the technical difficulties. um, I'm almost scared to talk, but we're gonna try this one more time. We're gonna try this one more time and see what happens. Spoke about Gabriel Davis a little bit. Once again, we apologize for any technical difficulties. It's starting to rain, starting to come down pretty good where I'm at. So we apologize for the freezing and for the delays. Um, I want to get into to Stefan Diggs, right? You say you made a great point earlier about Diggs, and I want to ask: is Stefan Diggs getting enough targets in your opinion?
No, because I think he should be being utilized as someone that's similar to Michael Thomas pre obviously all the injury issues and Devontae Williams now. I think
Mhm.
he's a guy that should be being. I'm not saying throw him when he's in double coverage, and if he's in double coverage, obviously that's tough. But I mean, Diggs is a guy that can make catches in double coverage. He
Mhm.
before he came here was one of the best, if not the best, contested catch player in the NFL. We saw
Mhm.
that last year against the Raiders when he made that fantastic catch.
Mhm.
We've seen it a number of times here already. I think he's a guy that should be eating up at least 13 to 14 targets a game. He's going to haul in about 10 or 11 of those every single game. Every single game, you need to get. It's not the fact of we got to give him the ball because he's the best wide receiver, almost like a Madden football mentality where it's like just give your best guy the ball. But that's really what it is. He's your playmaker. He can make plays with the ball in his hand. You need to get the ball to him. It's similar to like a Tyreek Hill. You don't need to give
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill a million targets, but you just any way you can get the ball in his hand. They give him less targets because they can run the ball with him and do switches and reverse and end arounds and different things like that. So you just want to get the ball in the hands of guys like that in space, obviously. John Brown was similar to that in a way, actually, when he was here. He wanted to get the ball in his hands.
Mhm.
Mckenzie in space, obviously, on the end arounds. I'm not sure what's going on there, but Mckenzie in space with the end arounds. You want to get playmakers that can make plays that have speed and just that they're just elite. They're alpha dogs on the field. You need to get the ball in their hands. So I do think he should be getting a lot more targets. I don't know why it seems like every game it takes them till the middle of the third quarter, early fourth quarter to understand, oh, wait, we have Stefan Diggs. We can just give him the ball every other play. It seems like it takes a long time for them to understand that and kind of to pick up on that. So I'd like to see a quick adjustment on that.
You know what? And I like it. I like it. And when you look at the games, right? When we look at the games, it doesn't appear as if Stefan Diggs is getting those targets that he had last year, right? It's like where is Stefan Diggs? Why isn't he even being target more? Why isn't he the focal point? But I started to do a little research. I started to dig deeper. And once I did research and started to dig deeper, I came up with this conclusion. And I want you could agree, you could disagree. Everybody in the comments, y'all can agree to disagree as well. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs need to get back to the chemistry they displayed in 2020. Now, I'm going to go on a little rant. I don't buy the notion that Stephon Diggs doesn't get enough targets. I think Stephon Diggs still gets his targets. If we look at him and break him down for the 2020 season, Stephon Diggs through 12 games has 108 targets. 12 games, 108 targets. That's about 9 targets per game, right? Now, everybody likes to use the comparison of Devontae Adams. Green Bay has only one receiver, and they always get Devontae Adams the ball. They always get Devontae Adams the ball. Devontae Adams has 115 targets on the season. Stefan Diggs has 108. Devontae Adams has seven more targets than Diggs. That's less than 1 target per game, right? So, in my opinion, I don't buy the notion that Diggs is not getting enough targets. In my opinion, it's all about chemistry. Allen and Diggs in 2020 was in sync last year. Diggs caught 76.5% of the passes thrown to him from Josh Allen. This year in 2021, Stefan Diggs is catching 65.7 of the passes that's thrown to him from Josh Allen, right? That's an 11% drop off. And if you have that drop off, then everything else is a trickle effect, right? If you have an 11% dropped off, quite naturally, the receptions is not going to be the same. The yards are not going to be the same. So in my opinion, it's definitely more about the chemistry between Diggs and Allen as opposed to the targets. Last year, Stefan Diggs, 96 receiving yards per game. This year, Stefan Diggs, 75 receiving yards per game. So again, it's about chemistry, not targets. What's your thoughts? What's your rebuttal?
See, I agree to an extent, but I also disagree. Just from looking more closely at the numbers, I guess, on like a per game basis. So if you look at Diggs, he's got 6 games with 8 targets or less. Usually less. It's usually 7. I think. To be honest, he's got 8 targets in one game, 5 in another game, 7 in another game, 8 in another game, 6 in another game, and 7 in another game. And then he's got these games where one's got 13, one's got 10, 11, another 13. He's got 2 13 target games. I think that part of the catch percentage issue can be chalked up to weather. Because if you look at some of the ones where he has some of the drops or some of the more bad catch percentage games, you got Houston, that was a weather game. You got Washington, that was a weather game. You got Miami, part of that was a weather game. So weather plays a role in that. But I do also agree. I don't think that chemistry is there like we saw last year where he gave Diggs a chance on a lot of balls. I think there's plays. But I did like that in the Patriots game, though, because he gave him a chance on that deep shot. And in the stadium, it looked like, the wind took that one and got away. I don't think Diggs tracked that one down. I think that was catchable. And I think that he admitted that later on. I think it was on Wednesday during media day. But I saw the replay and it looked like, I think he had a problem tracking that one because that ball looked like it should have been caught in the end zone. And that might have made the difference. You never know. There's so many ifs, ands, or buts about, from that point of the game. Like we said, we're over it. But either way, I do think that I agree about 50%, disagree about 50%. I think part of it's the weather, but I also do agree that their chemistry does seem to be off. And it's not just because his catch percentage is down or his yards are down or any of that's down. It just doesn't seem like they're perfectly in sync yet where they were last year, maybe week 5. They're still not there in this week 13. So,
yeah, I like it. Not a bad rebuttal. Let me get some comments. Charlie Gross, my brother Charlie. What you think about Diggs? Is it the chemistry? Is it targets? What's your observation, Charlie? Because you're very opinionated. I'm curious to know if you agree or disagree with me. In the meantime, let me get Lone Wolf up here. Believe it or not, you can still get dial up on internet. Can you? Wow. Okay. I didn't know. Let's get Michael in here. To me, this is stupid antic of a guy who's been fired from a few publications. It's harder than the Bills fans think bring players in Western New York. I guess they was having a totally different conversation amongst themselves. Spin. Diggs is getting open. The pressure gets to Allen where he has to avoid. And after Allen evades the pressure, Diggs may not be open because Allen has been moved to a different throwing lane. Not a bad observation. Not a bad observation at all. One more in here. You lost. Most Diggs production came this year against one-on-one matchups. In my opinion, I'm not too sure, but it shouldn't matter the matchup. It's up to the quarterback and the receiver to recognize the coverage before the ball is snapped and to be in that zone, that soft spot, or to win your matchup man to man with crossing routes and winning one-on-ones that way.
That's every wide receiver in the league, though. I mean, think about it. It's easier to catch a ball between one guy or two guys. It's every guy, so it's a tough one to look at.
Yeah. Once again, Akeem Richens, I got my boy Jason in here. We apologize for the technical difficulties we had a couple of minutes ago. It looks like we're back on track. This is Billsology. If you don't know us by now, get to know us. I want to move on to any key of yours, anything offensively or defensively you want to see from our Buffalo Bills. Is there any particular thing you want to see before I move on to my next key? Put you on the
My
spot
key
here. I
is
know.
going to be it's going to sound crazy, but just throw the ball. You don't need.
Okay.
We all know. I'm going to say it's exclusively to Brian Dable. A
That's
message
my
for him.
next key. I'll
We
put it up here.
know. We know when you're running the ball. We called out. To be honest, most of the 70,000 that were at the game, we running the ball on display, aren't they? They'd run the ball up the middle, get stuffed, or get 2 yards, get 3 yards sometimes. Occasionally get that 4-yard burst. But we knew they were running it. You don't have to mix it up and run it. This isn't a game of Madden where you got to trick the CPU and you got to run a certain amount of times, or else they're not going to let you pass the ball. This is real life football. You've got a crazy passing offense. What happened to the games last year where you'd start a game 10 straight passes, 11 straight passes, 8 passes and 2 runs? You can do that. You got the same personnel. You can still do that. You know what I mean? You still got Stefan Diggs. You still got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Throw the ball. It's how you're going to win tomorrow.
Throw the damn ball. Throw the damn ball. And I like it, right? Let's get back to doing what we do best. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't have any rushing attempts throughout the course of the game. I'm not going to go ahead and say all that. But our best player is Josh Allen, right? I've been seeing the social media platforms talk about let Josh cook. Let Josh be Josh. Let the Bills be the Bills. Let's get back to playing Buffalo Bills football, Buffalo Bills style offense, Buffalo Bills brand of offense, where we're in shotgun, we're in attack, and we're going to come and try to score quickly each and every time we have the ball. And for us to do that, we have to put pressure on opposing defenses, and Josh Allen is the guy to do that. Put the ball in Josh Allen's hands and let him make the correct plays. Let's get back to Buffalo Bills style football.
That's the thing. There's this year, if you think about it, it's kind of been like this. There's 2 kind of Bills games. There's the blowout, huge win that you love to see. Everything is on, you think you're back in that Super Bowl pace. And then there's that upsetting nail biter loss that even if you won, you still probably wouldn't feel too good about. I think last week I looked back and I looked over, me and my fiance have tickets, but I bring my dad occasionally. I looked over my dad and I go, I think that they're letting Josh do what he wants to do at this point. And that's when you started seeing success. You started seeing the ball move down the field. You started seeing that Bills offense we've come to love in the last 2 years. And I know it sounds bad for Brian Dable, but I don't know that he played much of a part in that. I think that maybe McDermott and Dable had talk at halftime, and Josh, go out there, whatever you see, run with it. Because I think at this point in his career, he's at that point. He's been paid. Now, the contract hasn't kicked in yet, but he's been signed. He's paid. He's going to be getting a big chunk of money here. They have full faith in him to, run the franchise. I think it's time to, let him do that thing that maybe you'd let like a Philip Rivers or a Russell Wilson. I don't know if Russell Wilson gets to do. He's probably why he's frustrated. But Russell Wilson or someone along those lines, Patrick Mahomes, something you let them do. Let them go out there and tell you what they see and be confident in what they choose to do. That's why I think I like the idea of an RPO every single play. Every single play, I want Josh to be able to decide, I either want to give this to this running back, I want to throw the ball quickly, or I want to scramble out, try and buy myself some time with my legs. And either then maybe I'll take 5, 6 yards, 10 yards and get out of bounds to avoid the hit. Or maybe I'll find Diggs downfield because we have good chemistry and we can, think on the run and think on the move all together. So I wanted Josh to have options on every single play and not be bound to play calling that may not be effective in the moment like it's been this year. So,
and I also, on a coaching standpoint, Brian Dable, I know we want Josh Allen to eat. We want Josh Allen with the ball in his hands and let him make all the correct plays. But at the same time, I get jealous when I see other offensive coordinators scheme their guys open in certain situations, right? I still want to see Brian Dable scheme guys open with his play calling. And I think he did that a bunch last year when he was calling jets. He was keeping defensive teams on their heels, calling jet sweeps, calling reverses, calling halfback passes. Josh Allen going out to catch the ball as a receiver, Statue of Liberty plays. It was just like we had a bevy of different plays where we kept defensive teams on their heels. And this year we seem more predictable. We seem like it's like, okay, Brian Dable, you have these guys, let those guys beat their guys on the field. You don't have to coach. No, it doesn't work like that. You still have to scheme. You still have to show some creativity, and you have to still be able to play situational football as a coach and get the first down for these players for your scheme from your scheme. So I still want to see Brian Dable call a good game tomorrow. It's imperative that that man calls a good game.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're getting paid by an NFL team, one of the elite offenses, one of the elite teams in the NFL, and you're the offensive coordinator, you better be doing your damn job. Because if not, there's probably someone else that might be able to do a better job at that. But I think the jet sweeps is one thing that my dad brings up, and all the people I see, they bring up all the time with Mckenzie. Mckenzie's a jet sweep. They don't run that play much this year. They don't run that. Well, he's not in the game, and I don't know, not to get off topic, but it's kind of strange that it seems like no one in Buffalo is really talking about like, oh, why isn't Mckenzie active? But they say like, they're looking at it strictly from an injury point of view or, a strategy McDermott's trying to punish him point of view, where I look at it as like, all right, he's on social media. There's something else going on behind the scenes there that we're not seeing because, other than obviously Cole Beasley had the thing in the offseason which was totally unrelated to the team. Obviously, it was a totally different issue, but this team doesn't go to social media for rants, and he's been like kind of posting little feelers out there that are just really strange to see from a Bills player. But to stay on track, without a Mckenzie in there, you can't run that play because I guess you could run it with Diggs, but you're not going to get that speed, that Tyreek Hill type of speed and break that you're looking for. Now, maybe they'll try and run that with Stevenson. I'm not sure how much they trust him with the ball as well, but he did have a fumble. He got the fumble back, but he did have a fumble that he dropped and he picked it up. But, I think that I don't know if McDermott's frustrated with that, but I'd like to see them just kind of, you got to take shots, guys. Like the conservative play calling. I don't want to see any conservative moments tomorrow. I don't care if you're up by 20. I don't want to see you get the ball back with 59 seconds and 2 timeouts going into the half and think you're going to knee it out or play for the field goal. Take shots downfield. You see teams do it week after week. The Chiefs do it all the time. If you got 15 seconds left in the half, take a shot to the end zone. Your quarterback can throw it 75 damn yards in the air. Take a shot to the end zone. You're either going to draw a call or what? You're going to get a pick with 5 seconds left in the half. I mean, I want to see them take shots and not – he's reverted back to that conservative McDermott, and it's really punishing and damaging to the team, is my opinion. So, yeah, I agree.
And in my opinion, Isaiah McKenzie should be active. I don't know what the hell is going on. I understand the man fumbled, but that's his first fumble since 2018. We in 2021. We have a lot of Buffalo Bills on the current roster that fumbled a lot more times than McKenzie and is still playing football. I don't understand. McKenzie active is a better offense for the Bills. McKenzie active, in my opinion, is still the best kick returner and punt returner on the team. So that's, again, coaching staff have to just do a better job. I'm going to take it a step further. In my opinion, all the explosive athletes the Bills have should be activated. Marquez Stevenson, Isaiah McKenzie, Matt Breida, all of these guys should be active on game day because they all bring a different dimension to the offense. So that's just how I feel about that.
Well, it's the same thing. I was to mention my dad. I was like, it kind of sucks. I wish we were able to use Christian Wade this year because, and I know it's a shot in the dark. The guy had a couple good runs in some preseason games and has looked okay in camp, but the guy's a rugby player. Like he did this before and he did it without pads. Like that's a guy we saw a little bit of breakaway speed in that preseason game when he had those couple runs. We saw some shiftiness and we saw they like downhill runners. He is the definition of a downhill runner. He's a rugby player from Europe. You know what I mean? He's a badass guy. So like I want to see guys like that and guys that have a unique skill set that they can bring to the game and it's Brian Dable's job to find a way to fit them in this offense and make them be able to take the rest of the league by storm. So, and with that, and just to touch the last thing on Isaiah McKenzie, you mentioned, he's best kick returner on this team. By the stats, he was one of the best kick returners in the league this year for a while. He was doing well in the return game, I think he was averaging like 26 or 27 return for a while. He was like second in the league for like the first 3 or 4, maybe 5 weeks, maybe even longer than that. So that's why I think like it's one fumble, like you mentioned. Now, yes, he's had some fumbles that he's recovered
in the past.
Look at Zach Moss, look at Devin Singletary, look at Matt Breida last week. I mean,
Josh Allen.
Yeah, well, Josh Allen's a great example. Exactly. So I think he's earned his. I think you might see him. I haven't heard anything from him yet on social media or anything like that, about him being out. So I think we might see him back this week. We'll see. So,
And last but not least, offensive execution. This red zone offense, this damn red zone offense from the Bills, 1 for 4 in the red zone last week. That has to change. It seems as if through the eye test, the Buffalo Bills, they don't have no hard time getting down the field. But once they get down and they get close to that goal line, it seems that everything changes. I don't know if the players tense up. I don't know if the coaches tighten up and get conservative with their play calls. But red zone execution has to be the theme, one of the themes for the Buffalo Bills. You're not going to beat Tampa Bay Buccaneers turning the ball over. You're not going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if you get in the red zone 5 times and kick 1 field goal. 2 field goals, 3 field goals. You need to get in the red zone against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You need to execute and you need to score touchdowns. That's how you beat Tampa Bay. Last 6 games, 22 points a game for the Buffalo Bills. That is not going to beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. So offensive execution in the red zone is a must.
Yeah, and it's been pretty poor this year, honestly. And not really anybody mentioned it, but Allen had his first interception in the red zone a couple of weeks back. On a tip ball, no less, so that kind of stunk. But I believe it was against the Saints, actually, but that kind of sucked. Either way, the red zone's it's just got to be better. It's got to be more creative. I mean, we saw it last week. It was the death of us last week. All we had to do was put one more touchdown on the board in the red zone, put more points on the board. You're going to win that game. It's just it's been the death of us. When you're inside the 10, here's a hint for Brian Daboll. You don't have to run the ball. They're expecting you to run the ball because they see you run the ball this year. You don't have to run it. You can run a trick play. You can run a jet sweep. I mean, against the Texans in the playoffs a few years back, trick play with John Brown. Josh Allen catches it for the first touchdown. I believe it was even on the opening drive of the game. It was awesome. They seem to do that in games where it's almost not necessary. Like they'll be up 2 or 3 touchdowns or 2 or 3 scores, and they'll pull out this awesome trick play in the red zone or to get like 30 or 40 yards. And it's like, where is that when you need it? So I don't want to see them playing. They need to not coach scared. That's the real thing I think comes down to. No coaching scared,
I agree 100%. A. Rich, Akeem Richens, Jason Malloy. This is Billsology. Jason, comments out there too. Comment section. Is Star Latuale a disappointment? Because we've been 2020 last year when the Buffalo Bills struggled in their run defense. I've heard a lot of, we don't have Star. You get Star back, the Buffalo Bills are going to be better. You get Star back, the Buffalo Bills are going to be more stout in the middle. I don't see any fucking difference. So maybe I'm wrong, but enlighten me. Is Star a disappointment for the Bills? Because in my personal opinion, Star's a disappointment. I'm sorry.
I mean, what's he making? $10 million a year? That's a lot of money. $10 million bucks is a lot of money. You could sign a really good pass rusher for $10 million a year. Now I get here's another thing though. People got to look at too. They say, "Oh, well, he's there to eat up double teams." Guess what else eat up double teams and still put up stats? Vince Wilfork, a guy like that, a big body. There are big body guys in this league. There was one for the Denver Broncos a couple years back that.
We got 2. We play 2 tomorrow. We play 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, there's big guys that can eat up double. You don't have to be a big guy, eat up a double team. That's all you do. I mean, you're making $10 million a year. I want a sack or 2 to go with that. I want a couple tackles for loss. Can you just at least knock the line? I want to notice you on plays. I don't even notice you in the game. I mean, I say you're doing up double teams. That's great. I'm not paying a guy I can find a big guy to physically have to take up a double team for less than $10 million a year. Right, I need to see something. I need to see you do something.
Right. Hold your point of attack. Hold your point in attacking the double team. And the double team, you taking on double teams, you getting washed away. They're clearing you out anyway. They're clearing your ass out anyway. They're doing their job. If you want, I understand defensive tackles, big defensive tackles, they want to take on the double team, but we want our defensive tackle to be able to hold their point and hold their ground when taking on the double team. And I don't think Star Latuale does that enough. And I'm going to take it a step further. I think Brandon Beane dropped the ball. If one tech defensive tackle is so important for the Buffalo Bills, this shouldn't be the same topic of discussion a year after, right? One tech defensive tackle. We have to upgrade that position because outside interior offensive line, one tech defensive tackle is the most important position, in my opinion, for the Buffalo Bills?
Well, in my opinion, I think we had a guy that I thought was kid. Now he's had some injury issues since he's departed here, unfortunately. But we had a guy that
Mhm.
was a fairly big guy that could do. He could get home. He could get some sack, get some tackles for loss. He brought a lot
Are
of
you talking
juice
about Darius?
to.
Are you talking about Marcel Darius?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay. Thank
I'm
God.
talking about I'm talking about Jordan Phillips, dude. I love Jordan Phillips. He's a
Uh,
big guy. The energy he brought to that team, that defense, that stadium. I mean, I just remember him being like he was a big guy that they would try and double team, but he could still find a way to get home. Now, obviously, we haven't heard a lot about his name. He's had some injury issues in Arizona, but he was
mhm,
the guy that I think could do that. And last I saw, he was getting paid the same amount of money as Star, right around
mhm,
$10 million. So I'll take
mhm,
Jordan Phillips every day, and I get that because Jordan Phillips is a three tech. He's a big, big three tech. I don't. You could
mhm,
put Ed Oliver and Jordan Phillips next to each other. Actually, I believe he did it a bunch of the time. A lot of the time, he did do that, and
mhm.
it worked. It was effective. So he earned himself a contract with how well he played. And I don't know that there were many suitors for Star at the price that we paid. I don't know because we signed him, but
I
I can't imagine many
5 years,
suitors there.
$50 million. I don't know at the time, but 5 year, $50 million deal, uh, is a pretty hefty contract for Star Latuele. And I'm not saying he's a bad player. It's not by no means. I don't think he's a bad player. But when you look at the contract compared to the production, I think when you judge it off that, is like, okay, this guy we need an upgrade. Just my opinion. Let me get some thoughts. Thoughts on Star. Thoughts on Star Latuele. Is he a disappointment? Do you think he's doing his job? Let me get some thoughts. Lone Wolf says Phillips had one good year. And you know what? I agree with that. I agree that he had what, but it was a hell of a year. 10 sacks. He brought that fire. He brought that tenacity. He brought energy. One year, but definitely a hell of a year.
Yeah, but
Bart
even
says
even even if you look before that, he had a decent year for the time that he was active because he was in Miami, but he wasn't playing in Miami towards the end there, so he didn't play a full 16 games, and he still had 5 or 6 sacks and 7 or 8 tackles for loss. So I mean, it's still a decent year for a guy that was making next to nothing at that time, and we could be paying the same amount of money as we're paying Star right now. That's my point, I guess.
Okay, so Patrick is bringing up a solid point, and I want to get your thoughts, and I want to get everybody's thoughts in the comments too. Spin, I want to get your thoughts. Lone Wolf, I want to get your thoughts. Why, Dave, Kebby, Heads, I want to get your thoughts on this comment I'm about to put up. Patrick says small linebackers can give the proper run support. So is it a linebacker problem or is it a defensive tackle problem? Because defensive tackles are supposed to take on those double teams so linebackers could come in and make the play in the hole. So is now are the Buffalo Bills having a linebacker problem in run support, or is it defensive tackle in run support? Or do we need to look at more film before we further assess and analyze this question? What you think?
I think that any criticism on a linebacker is proper at this point. They just gave Matt Milano a ton of money. I think they've backed themselves into a corner where they're going to have to pay Edmonds. And not that I think his play has warranted a contract. I don't know how much that contract's for. Now, I thought when we drafted him and the talk around him was that he'd be the highest paid linebacker in the league in 4 years, 3 or 4 years, 5 after the option. So maybe 5 or 6 years. But I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. But I would love to keep him around. I love Jermaine Edmonds. I like Matt Milano. I love Edmonds. I like Milano. I say I like Milano because I don't know that Milano – and people say, oh, no, you're crazy. He would have definitely got paid somewhere else. And yeah, maybe he would have got paid somewhere else, but there's a reason he took that deal, number one. And I don't buy into the whole Bills Mafia, Bills love, the
Right,
crazy
right.
fanship. You know what I mean? I think that plays a role, but I think these guys want to get paid. They've been working their whole life for this. And, God forbid something happens. This is their income for the rest of their lives. So I think any criticism of the linebackers is fair. I think moving to I would rather see us. I think that it's hard to judge that because of how much we play in nickel and how much you don't see the regular 3
Okay.
set of linebackers back there. I think if we played in 4-3 more, we could
Mhm.
really judge that. But I think as of right now, I'll have to see some more 4-3 like consistently before we can judge that.
Okay. I'm not mad at it at all. Excellent question. Spin says our 10 linemen are all mainly pass rushing linemen, not run stopping linemen. Can't allocate a couple of spots for linemen to stop the run. Interesting point. Interesting point. Hey Rich, Akeem
It's
Richards.
true.
This is Billsology. I got Jason in the building. Uh let's talk some let's talk some matchups. A couple of matchups that I'm enticed about. And then after I talk about matchups, I want to get into I have a defensive key. If you have a defensive key as well, we're glad to hear it. But a couple of matchups that I'm definitely watching. First matchup, we spoke about it earlier. Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh versus the Buffalo Bills interior offensive line in Mitch Morse, John Feliciano, and Daryl Williams. Um, your thoughts on this matchup? My opinion, the Buffalo Bills, they have to be physical. They have to be physical. We have to show some type of physicality. We can't be ragdolled in the trenches. And I believe when we face those stout teams, those physical teams, we tend to lose the battle in the trenches. And this is a game where when you have a guy like Barrett and JPP and Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, this is possibly a bad matchup for the Buffalo Bills offensive front. So Bills interior line is going to have to come to play today. Come to play tomorrow. John Feliciano is going to have to come to play tomorrow. We're going to need Mitch Morse. We're going to need our guys to play their best football in tomorrow's game as an offensive line group. What are your thoughts with this matchup, Vita Vea versus Bills interior offensive line?
I think you're going to see these guys play really hard for these last couple games of the regular season, and then going on the playoff run. God willing, because I think they know. People say they don't listen to the media, they don't listen to the noise. They know their jobs are up right now. They got to, especially in a McDermott locker room, you got to earn your job every day. We saw that with Mckenzie. At least from what it looks like, you got to earn your job every single day. Gabe Davis is earning every single week. You got to earn your job. It's just, and I think they know that some of those jobs are up for the taking right now. And I think you're going to see him play hard. And I think Morse kind of released a little bit of that frustration this past week with the media after the game. I think you're going to see them want to get nasty. You're going to see them want to get down. And I also think, as a safeguard for that, you're going to see probably more bootlegs tomorrow than you've ever seen in a Buffalo Bills game ever, because they're going to want to get them out of that pocket. That pocket is not going to be clean. Even if the Bills, here's the thing. The Bills can play a great game on the offensive line tomorrow and still have it get blown up 25% of the time, because that's how damn good that front four is. So getting them out of the pocket, helping the line, I think pulling the line. Maybe you're going to have to make things a little fancy tomorrow, but you got to get nasty at the same time. You've got to be on your A game tomorrow. Tomorrow is the test. I'm going to be watching very closely. And again, the frustration I mentioned with maybe Levi Wallace or one of those quarterbacks getting frustrated with the matchup. This is a matchup where you can get a lot of frustration too. I want to watch more discipline, because I feel like there's been lack of discipline this year. Now I get standing up for your guys, and someone's barking at Allen and whatnot. I love Josh Allen, but I know he's a loud mouth out there. I can tell he talks trash. It's just how he is. He's competitive. And I want to see them keep their composure, because, again, we talked about mistakes and penalties and beating yourself. And this line seems to be susceptible to doing that occasionally. So in the KC game, we saw when they started to unravel at the end, I don't want to see any of that. This game's not over till it's over. I want to see you win your matchup. If you lose it, you get up and you hit them harder next time. You got to play. You got to be dogs. That's what you're here for. A lot of you are getting paid at this point. Feliciano's got paid. Williams got some money. Dawkins got a nice big contract. Morris has been paid. That's a highly paid line. I want him to perform like a highly paid line.
You know what? Yeah, I really like it. I really like it. Very stout interior defensive front for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ndamukong Suh has 6 sacks in the interior. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Todd Bowles, in my opinion, is a beast of a defensive coordinator. I think he is an excellent defensive coordinator, and he's doing a hell of a job over there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They don't blitz much. They don't blitz as much, but the last 4 games, they have 15 sacks in 4 games. So that goes to tell me and goes to tell us that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are getting home without sending any extra people. So that is very impressive coming from the Tampa Bay Bucs front. But when they do blitz, we have to watch for their fast, uber athletic linebackers in Levante David and Devin White. Devin White is, in my opinion, one of the best blitzing linebackers in the NFL. He has 33 pressures this season, and I believe he has about 12 quarterback hits. So we definitely want to be able to protect Josh Allen. We want to be able to hold that front, and we want to be able to watch out for the incoming blitzes when they do blitz, because we have good linebackers that can definitely get home if they come unblocked. So definitely a couple of things we have to look out for. I want to get into another matchup that is on my radar. I wouldn't call it concerning, but these are matchups that's definitely on my radar and what I have to pay attention to. And the next matchup is Chris Godwin versus Tyron Johnson. Chris Godwin is a beast. He's a physical specimen. He's a very big physical wide receiver that happens to play the slot. He has 82 receptions, 949 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Tyron Johnson has to come to play. He has his contract extension, but he is not physically imposing. He is not a big guy. He's physical, but he's not big. Tyron Johnson has to come to play because Tom Brady is going to be looking for Chris Godwin uh, often in tomorrow's game in the slot. Tyron Johnson, come to play. Thoughts?
I expect Tyron Johnson to do a very good job on him. I expect Brady to try, but Brady, here's the thing with Brady. Brady's not a guy that's going to lock on one guy, and if it's not working, keep trying to force it. He's going to find another way to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it's important that we really just, and I know I said a lot of this last week with blitzing. I want to see little to no blitz. I want to see a spy watching the running back every single play. I guess it's just not even just having the matchup. Someone watching the running back, whether that's probably Matt Milano, every single play. And I want to see everybody else besides the 4 linemen and the 2 linemen and the 2 ends in coverage. That's what Brady's not getting. He's not running anywhere. Okay. He's not going anywhere. He's going to sit back there. He'll either take the sack, throw the ball away, or get the ball out quick. You need to play good in coverage. I think Tyron Johnson is going to be just fine against Chris Godwin because Tyron Johnson is actually, since he's gotten paid, seems like he may have actually heightened his play. Like he's thankful for that contract. And he's one of those gems that people don't really see, but I think he's starting to get a name for himself. I think in games where Tyron Johnson has a pick 6, we're undefeated. I think that's like 3 or 4 games. It seems like it's all the time these last couple of years. But I expect Tyron Johnson to hold his own tomorrow. He's a very skilled, very good cornerback out of the slot there, which makes even those matchups with Mike Evans and Levi Wallace and the other ones more important. So I think you're going to see a lot of Jordan Poyer kind of and Micah Hyde kind of showing that they're the best, moving around a lot, maybe playing 1 high, 2 high. There's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of different things on that defense because I think one of the bigger matchups and my biggest matchup this week is going to be McDermott versus Arians. So I think that we'll see Tyron Johnson hold his own, though.
I like that, McDermott versus Arians. And you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm just a little concerned, and not necessarily with Chris Godwin and Tyron Johnson per se, but they have a lot of big guys. Mike Evans is 6'5". That has some concern. I'm assuming Levi Wallace, he's the bigger of the 2 corners. He'll probably be holding him. Ryan Gronkowski is another big possession receiver. So they have a lot of big guys. In the Buffalo Bills, we have good football players, but I don't think we necessarily have big physically imposing guys. And that's why I think some of the time when we do run into these physical teams, we have trouble because we don't have enough of those guys.
I think I like the idea, and I only like this idea because a couple years ago, I don't know if Edmonds was playing in that game. He may have been hurt, but there's been very few games that Trey White has been lit up, like a torch, and he was lit up against Gronk just a couple of years back. The game where Gronk, freaking, I don't even super, whatever you want to call it, flying elbow into Trey White's neck when he picked him off. But I think a guy like Edmonds is like perfect guy because you're going to want to get Gronk. Like that is one of the 2 real key ways to try and win this game is stopping Gronkowski and eliminating that
especially
little dump off or. Oh yeah, especially in the red zone because you're going to want to double. I don't know if you can, but you're going to want to double coverage. Somehow double cover Gronk and double cover Mike Evans because he loves Mike Evans in the red zone historically since over the last 2 years, year and a half, whatever you want to call it. And just in general, Mike Evans has been a big part of that red zone offense for years, with the touchdowns that he gets. But yeah, I like to see Edmonds against Gronkowski most likely just because of the size matchup. He's someone that can actually get up there with him and stop him and physically actually stop him. And I'd like to see Milano watch. I see the comment there. I'd like to see Milano watching Fournette because Fournette, he's another big guy. He's a running back, but he's another big guy that can catch the ball in the backfield. So,
yeah, exactly right. And Leonard Fournette, I agree. The Leonard Fournette, you definitely have to watch out for him. You have to keen in on him. But I think Bruce Arians is the type of guy that he has his own philosophy, and he has Tom Brady on that team. So as much as he watched the Buffalo Bills struggle in the run department, he's going to do what he does best, and that's pass the football. But definitely Leonard Fournette is a guy you want to watch in the run game, and you want to watch in the pass game as well. Leonard Fournette has 58 receptions coming out the backfield, leading all NFL running backs. So great comment, because we have to watch Leonard Fournette not only in the run game, but in the pass game as well. And if Tom Brady can check down Josh Allen, shit. If Leonard Fournette has 58 receptions, Josh Allen, that goes to show you that the GOAT is checking down. You could check down too, buddy. You could check down too. It's okay. Excellent comment. The rain is picking back up. So let me go into my next key, and this will be my last. I want to talk. We haven't spoke defense that much this game or this show, but I want to get into defense a little bit here. In my opinion, the Buffalo Bills, I didn't write the key up, but the defensive key for the Buffalo Bills is putting pressure on Tom Brady. The Buffalo Bills have to find a way to put pressure on Tom Brady and force him into making bad decisions. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 9-3 on the season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3 losses. In their 3 losses, Tom Brady has been sacked 6 times and threw 4 picks in those 3 losses. Right? So that is if you want to talk about trying to have some success against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense and possibly beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have to get to Brady. You have to force him to make bad decisions. And if the Buffalo Bills can do that, then I think they can claim victorious. But my concern is the Buffalo Bills haven't shown the ability to do that consistently all season long. So that is my concern. You want to get to Brady and make him make bad decisions. But can the Bills defensive line do that? Can the Bills defensive front do that? That's the question that we'll see tomorrow. Thoughts?
Well, that's the thing. You got to get pressure to Brady. If you don't get pressure to Brady, he's not just going to throw a bad ball. He'll sit back there all day as long as his line can get you. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. You got to get home. It's been the same conversation with Brady, though. He doesn't run. Mm-hmm. You got to get home. He doesn't run. You got to get. We've been saying this for years.
Yep.
And I need to see Ed Oliver. I need to see Jerry Hughes. I need to see Mario Addison, who seems to pick it up every couple games. Gregory Rousseau. He was one of the leading tacklers last week. Actually, people said they didn't notice him. He had tackles there. He had some nice plays. He had a tackle for loss. I think he almost had a forced fumble. So I need to see guys that get home. I get people said, and I didn't really agree this year because people said, in one offseason, being invested, and he was able to completely rebuild and restock and talent up our defensive line and our defensive ends. And I didn't agree with that at all because we had A.J. Epinesa coming in from year 2. Mm-hmm. And you added a guy in the first and second round, which it's a crapshoot. It's a draft. You didn't go out and get Von Miller. I'm not saying they should have, but you didn't go out and get Von Miller. You didn't go out and sign a guy that you got Obata, but he's not even active every week. Mm-hmm. I mean, you didn't go out and get big guys. So I never fully agreed that line was rebuilt. I mean, it was okay. You added some lotto tickets. Now scratch them off. Let's see if you want to scratchers here. So
I like it.
I want to see it. I like Gregory Rousseau. I really do. And I think that he's a guy that's going to need a little bit of time. He showed some talent. Maybe, if you're not getting so much on the inside, maybe you try and move Rousseau on the inside. Swap him around with somebody. Not saying Latula on the outside, but swap him with somebody. Run 3 ends and a tackle for a couple of plays.
He had a lot of sacks. In college,
yes, he did.
Yeah.
So I want to see that. I mean, I want to see them mix it up and get interesting here. Leslie Frazier is coaching for his job just as much as Brian Dable after last week and the last couple of weeks we've had. So, I like Leslie Frazier. I'm not calling for him to be fired. I'm not even calling for Brian Dable to be fired. I'm just saying those guys have to earn their jobs every week, more now than ever. So,
most definitely have to earn their jobs every week. Positional coach. I'm not calling for our main guys to be fired, the Brian Dable or Leslie Frazier, but positional coaches. You got to earn your stripes. You are the ones that's up for evaluation, in my opinion. OG Bobby Johnson, the offensive line coach. Okay, bro, you're up for evaluation. It's time. It's time to get this offensive line in order. Eric Washington, the defensive line coach. It's time. Get this defensive line in order. Jeff Urbig, the linebackers coach, Tremaine Edmonds was washed away too many times last week. It's time to get this defense and offense in order, and it starts with the positional coaches. They have to do their jobs, and we're going to see if any improvements was made in tomorrow's game.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think someone that, just looking it up here to make sure I got the right name here. I know who I'm talking about. I just can't remember the exact name. I'm thinking either way, the coach for the running backs, it's Kelly Skipper. You don't hear that name ever, which is surprising because there's been a lot of issues with the running backs this past year, and really these past couple of years. And I think that Devin Singletary was a solid running back, and I don't know what's changed from year 1 to now year 3. I think he has he almost had 1,000 yards. With his first year, we were in love with Devin Singletary. He's making everybody miss and a lot of speed, but Kelly Skipper, the running backs coach, what's going on? You know what I mean? Why is Devin Singletary not taking a step or done anything?
Another guy, Kelly
since
Skipper,
that first year.
Yep.
So,
yep. Positional coaches, man. Positional coaches have to show their worth, and that starts tomorrow. Believe it or not, tomorrow, in my opinion, it starts the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills. Yep. We're in an AFC division where it's 12 teams fighting for 7 spots. Anything can happen any given Sunday, like myself, and my brother Dan Kelly like to say, any given Sunday matches the theme of this NFL season. So the playoffs start, in my opinion, for the Buffalo Bills tomorrow away against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have the weather. Everybody's been talking about dome or no dome, and Josh Allen just this amazing quarterback in good weather, and this is why we need a dome. Well, guess what? Tomorrow's in Florida. We're playing in Florida. We're playing in some decent weather. It's time to sling this damn ball around the yard to our receivers that a lot of experts thought that was one of the best receiving corps in this NFL, right? So predictions. What's your prediction for tomorrow's game? Do you have a score prediction, or do you think you're just going to go with a team prediction? Who's going to win this game?
I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win the game, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Bills fan. I think they're going to win the game, but I don't expect a blowout. I don't expect a surprise. Oh, the Bills are back! Like they just had a fluke game. I expect it to be a gunslinging show, and I expect us to see that Brian Dable that we have come to love with trick plays, and where they're showing him on the simulcast, on the video, on the telecast, every touchdown, smiling and happy because we're making it work. And Allen's getting big. I think Allen's gonna have a humongous game tomorrow. I think he's gonna probably. And this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but I think he's gonna toss himself back in the MVP conversation tomorrow with a 400-yard performance, similar to the game that he had against Seattle. But not in such blowout fashion. I think it's going to be a very, very, very good game for Josh Allen. I think that tomorrow you're going to see Stefan Diggs have probably somewhere in the ballpark of 12 to 13 targets for 10 catches and 150 yards and a touchdown or two. I think he's going to come out. He's going to play hard. They're going to get back and they started to do it just a little bit too late last game, but they're going to start to get back to what works. And what works is passing the ball by any means and for any reason at will. And they're not going to run the ball. Regardless if they think that the pass is struggling, they're going to switch something up in the pass. I don't think they're going to run that ball because they've just been hitting a wall game after game. So I don't see them shying away from the pass or shying away from aggressive play calls. I think tomorrow McDermott knows what he wants. I think he's really damn pissed. He might be as pissed as he's ever been as a Bills coach after last week with some of his comments, obviously, and just the emotion you could see. He doesn't usually wear it on the sleeve, but we saw it last week. So I have the Bills winning tomorrow, and I have them winning a pretty close one. I have 38-35 Bills.
Now, I lost confidence in the Buffalo Bills. I would be lying. You know what? I don't usually speak for others, but I think we all would be lying if we didn't lose just a little bit. Everybody's different in terms of how much confidence you lost, but a little confidence in the Bills you lost because of what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And I'm one of those guys that feel a little less confident, but at the same time, I'm going to watch the game, right? But I'm going to watch the game because I believe, even though I lost confidence, I still believe in this Buffalo Bills team. I still believe that this team, especially in this season, watching all these other teams play, I said me knowing how all these other teams play, I really believe in my heart of hearts the Buffalo Bills can beat any team in the NFL. So I'm still confident. I'm not as confident as I was maybe a month ago, but I still have the confidence. And I think Josh Allen, you're right, is going to play himself back into this MVP conversation. I'm not sure if it's going to be a 400-yard game. Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy Bunton, Antoine Winfield. That's a decent secondary, but I think he's going to play himself back into the conversation. And I think our receivers are going to have excellent games from Beasley to Diggs to Gabriel Davis. Buffalo Bills, 34. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 31.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're pretty much got the same result there. Mine scores a little bit higher just because I want to add some I think it's gonna be a game. I think it might be a game of the year. You saw Jim Nance talking about it on One Bills Live this week, saying that CBS went forward and they said this is one of the top 2 or 3, maybe top 5 games. This is a game that we really fought to get. This is why you see it in the game of the week. It was one that we've all been had penciled on our schedule, not even just because of the Brady implications, just because of knowing that there might be playoff implications, and there is. And I want to give a scenario real quick here. Okay, I'm going to give 2 scenarios. Tomorrow the Bills lose. Okay. Patriots lose to the Colts. We beat the Pats, and then we win our last 3 games. The Bills end up in the playoffs. Tomorrow the Bills win. Patriots win against the Colts. We beat the Pats, win the rest of our games. Bills are in the playoffs again. And both of those scenarios include us being the division champs because we have a certain tiebreaker that we need. So we need tomorrow. And I just want to reiterate, because a lot of people think, and if you just read the headlines, you'd think division's out of touch. We got to basically win out and then hope for help. Not the case at all. We need to win tomorrow, or a Pats loss to the Colts, and then we need to win in Foxborough. It's the only must. Need to win in Foxborough, and then we need to beat the Panthers, and we need to beat the Jets and the Jets and Falcons both at home to end the game in a packed almost said Ralph Wilson, a packed Bills Stadium.
Highmark Stadium.
Highmark Stadium. So I think that the playoffs is, for me, I mean, the playoffs is not really. We could fluke our way into there, have a bad performance, and play the way we've been playing, and still make the playoffs. The division is very, very, very obtainable. So,
Kim brought up an excellent point. Keep an eye on Sanders tomorrow. I think he'll be playing for DT. Rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas. 33 years old, passed away in his home. It's like, wow, it just puts things in perspective. I'm older than Demaryius Thomas, so it's like shit, bro. So rest in peace, DT. Emmanuel Sanders, he was excused from yesterday's practice, I believe, because of the news. And Kim, excellent point. He may get in the end zone tomorrow, and it may be for DT. So definitely look out for Emmanuel Sanders, and definitely, man, rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas. Our condolences goes out to him and his family.
Certainly.
A. Rich, Akeem Richens, Jason Malloy. This is Billsology. You're in tune with Built in Buffalo. If you don't know us by now, get to know us. This has been an excellent show. It started off rocky in the beginning, right? Started off a little rocky with the internet connections and things like that. But once we got that on the roll, it picked up, and this was a informative, excellent show. Jason, very, very good work tonight. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Go Bills. I'm sure we're going to have I know I have some relatives that are probably going to be at the game tomorrow. They live down in that area, but I think we're going to have a good influx of Bills fans like we do at every single game. And, honestly, thanks for bringing that comment up, Kim. That's a good comment. I really think that we could see one of those, those games. If you go on YouTube and you look up emotional NFL games and you see, all the top, you see Torrey Smith after his brother was gunned down. You see Quan Alexander after I think maybe his brother was killed as well. You see a lot of games like that. I think we could see at Emmanuel Sanders game tomorrow because that's going to be heavy on him. I mean, they were the guys together,
Yeah, in Denver.
Him and yeah. So I mean,
there's the guys.
Yeah,
tough.
Yeah,
most definitely, man. Most definitely. A. Rich, Akeem Richens. Tune in tomorrow. Pregame show. Myself, Dan Kelly, Ryan, and my brother Mike will be giving the pregame show. I will be back later tomorrow night. Time to be determined with the post-game show, and hopefully the post-game show can be a good one. It's going to be a good one regardless, but hopefully it's a lot more positives than negatives in the post-game show. But For A. Richards, A. Rich, Akeem Richards, Jason Malloy. This is Built in Buffalo. Until next time.